Hi friends, welcome back to Extraordinary Connection. My name is Dillon Burns. I'm the pastor at Manchester United Methodist Church, and I want to wish you a happy Fat Tuesday. For today is the last day before Lent begins tomorrow, Lent being that 40-day period in preparation for Easter, a time of readying our hearts, our minds, our spirits for celebrating the resurrection of Christ. Now, perhaps you've celebrated Fat Tuesday in the traditional way, whether that's eating a punchki or consuming a stack of pancakes. Both are traditional foods for Fat Tuesday because in preparation for Lent, when many will traditionally do a fast, it has often been the practice that people will need to clear their houses of all the foods they won't be eating over the next several weeks. And so those will be baked into foods like punchkis and pancakes. It's a reminder that a season of fasting is coming tomorrow. Often, this might mean giving up a food, or it could mean giving up abstaining from something else throughout this period of time. And as I am myself thinking about what I might give up for a Lenten fast this year, I find it important to offer for myself, and maybe you as well, a reminder that Lent is not the suffering Olympics. Let me say that again. Lent is not the suffering Olympics, though we sometimes treat it as though it is. As we might be thinking about what to give up for Lent, we'll be weighing out whether it's a big enough thing to give up, whether it will pain or inconvenience us enough, imagining that we need to suffer in some amount in order for it to be a good fast. But I have good news. Fasting doesn't need to be painful. Suffering is not required. For in fact, the reason that we will fast from anything is for an entirely different purpose. Let me take us to a single scripture out of the book of Hosea. This is Hosea chapter 6, verse 6. It's talking about sacrifices. And through Hosea, God says this: I desire faithful love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God instead of entirely burned offerings. And I think the logic that God is offering there about sacrifices can be applied to fasting as well. Sacrifices were a tool that the Israelite people were called to numerous times throughout the Old Testament. They were given as instructions explicitly as things to do regularly and often and in particular ways. And so it is striking that here in Hosea and in other places, God would say, you are following all of what I said to do, and yet I am displeased with your sacrifices because you are not loving or you are not knowing God. It would seem that the intent of sacrifices is to grow in love and knowledge of God. And I think the same can be said about fasting. Fasting on its own has no value. Giving up something for the sake of giving it up is just a thing to do. And it's certainly not for the sake of causing ourselves performative suffering. The purpose of fasting is as a tool to help us gain in love and knowledge of God. For indeed, while fasting knocks our life out of kilter in any number of ways, we might use those moments to recenter ourselves in the presence of God. The gaps that fasting creates in our life might be filled in ways of loving one another or increasing in love of God. Fasting is a tool to be used to draw us closer to God and to help us become more loving people. And so this is the metric that I am using as I am considering how and whether to fast for Lent this year. What is something I might do that would allow me to increase in love and knowledge of God? It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't even have to be hard. It just needs to be something that can help me grow. And so I hope that this is a helpful reminder for you as it is for me today in preparation for Lent. Thanks for joining me. Go in peace.